Yo YouTube, this is my video for Thursday the 23rd of May, and I'm going to try something slightly different with this video. I'm going to tell you my stats for the day first, and then if that's the thing that you find interesting and my rambling isn't interesting, you can always stop listening after I've given you my stats. So today I will have driven for 269 miles when I get home. I will have worked for 9.5 hours, and my current pence per mile for fuel is 15.03 pence per mile. That means that I will have spent £40 and 43 pence on fuel, and my earnings from one CX job is £200 today, which means at the end of the day, when I get home, I will have made £160 after fuel costs taken into account. So if that's what you're interested in and that's all you want to hear, you can stop listening now. I'm now going to do my usual update and ramble about how I see the world and how today's gone for me. So if you've seen my other videos, the update videos, you'll know that things are a bit transitional for me at the moment in terms of my health and therefore this job. I am determined to keep doing the job that I love doing, which is being a same-day courier, self-employed. But I'm going to have to be a bit more creative or flexible with what I do and how I do it. I'm going to have to probably furrow my own plough my own furrow I don't know if that's right, in terms of how I make a living out of this work. If I try and do it the same as most people do, I'm just not going to be able to do that, I think. So the idea of like getting up early, get your first job by 9 o'clock, get your own customers, being back at home at a decent time, I know all the other things that people tend to go to. I'm going to have to be a bit I have to make this work for me, not for everyone else. So the first thing that I have tried, and it has been partially successful, it might form part of my tactic, is yesterday morning and this morning I decided that I would just stay in bed in the morning until I naturally felt that I could get up, rather than trying to force it, rather than trying to get up at a certain time. I am struggling with mornings more and more every day. It's harder and harder. I won't go into the details why. It's just I don't sleep great, and I'm not a morning person, and I just feel icky, as it were, in the mornings. Drained, fatigued, tired. So yesterday I probably got out of bed about 9:30, and by the time I'd done I had a shower, had some breakfast, got dressed, and then done my displacement activities, which is the washing up and the vacuuming and putting some washing on. So I sort of ran out of excuses about what I could do next. I then sat in my little office and bid on a few jobs, but there wasn't really an awful lot yesterday, and I did quite a lot of accounting work. In the end, didn't do any work at all. I basically used yesterday as a bit of a rest day, bit of getting my head in a better place day, which I think was worth it in the end. I sort of one of the things I'm having to do with my work-life balance is to really kind of listen to my body, and when I'm not really up for work, rather than just ignoring that and get on with it, which is what I usually would do, kind of listen to it and sort of try and give myself a bit more of some little leeway with what I do and don't work. I feel psychologically quite bad about not working, but I feel physically a little bit better for not working sometimes. So that's a bit of a delicate balance. It's something I need to get used to. Anyway, today I did the same thing. I stayed in bed until I woke up naturally, and I did actually go to bed earlier than normal last night. And I think I slept okay. So in the end, it was about 8:30 by the time I was out of bed and sort of getting dressed and having a shower. So again, I did do the same thing. I did my bit of washing up and a bit of vacuuming just to sort of avoid looking at work. And then I was in my office about 10 o'clock looking on and bidding on jobs. Now, I have a restriction this week in that tomorrow me and my partner are going to see Ed Gamble in stand-up in King's Lynn, and so that's in the evening, so I can't go away too far either tonight or tomorrow. So I had a brilliant job opportunity that came up from Bourne to like north of Aberdeen. I would have loved to have done that job. It was about 450 miles, but I just couldn't get back. I wouldn't be able to get back in time for tomorrow evening, so that had to be ignored. And then I put some bids on other jobs. I was being really fussy in inverted commas. I was sort of avoiding jobs that took me too far away, like Scotland or like London. I was avoiding jobs that were collecting too far from me, so staying within about half an hour of where I live. And there was a sprinkling of jobs that came on. Probably bid on about 8 or 9 jobs in the end. But I also, as well as being quite fussy with what I bid on, because usually my tactic is to bid on everything, scattergun approach, and whatever happens. I just deal with it and go that place. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But on this occasion I was quite fussy about what I was picking up, and I wasn't bothered if I didn't get a job. I was quite relaxed about whether I got one or not. And in the end I did get the job that I did. And it was both an hour away from where I live, and it was going to London, so two of the things I wasn't looking for. But I put a decent bid on, and I had to kind of estimate what would be a good bid. And I'll tell you what the job is, and then you can decide if I made the right decision or not. And this is what the job was at the time that I bid. This is what I was told on the app. Right, it was with a company that I have worked for before, and they do a lot of work. They're not a national shipper, but if you do this work, you probably come across them. And they're kind of, in my mind, on the edge of reputable. They've not actually done anything that I've been upset about, but they just, sometimes you get a feeling that they're a bit on the dodgy side, but maybe it's just me being overly cautious. So I was paid last time I worked for them on time, whereas I thought I might not be. So I was happy to do a job for them again this time. So my kind of anxiety about working for them is kind of just in my own head. It's nothing's actually happened. So this is a good example of me. Well, I'll find out if this is worth it or not. The problem, I'll talk about the problem in a moment anyway. So the job was a pickup in Melton Mowbray, which was an hour from where I was. It was dropping off in SW3. It was a small van job, and it was picking up from the same location and dropping off back at Melton Mowbray in the morning between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was, as a small van job, and I didn't notice. Well, the pickup time was from 12:30 to 1:30, and I got given the job at just before 1 o'clock. And obviously, I was about an hour away from pickup, so there's no way I could get there in time. But the drop-off point, I noticed when I picked up the job, was 7 o'clock. It wasn't ASAP; it was defined as 7 o'clock. So there was a number for me to call for the customer. I tried calling them when I did my pick. I picked up the item, just one item to take down, and I got there at 2 o'clock to pick it up. And I double checked when I got there what time they opened in the morning for the return. And I just checked, are you does it matter what time I bring it back? And they said it didn't really matter what time I bring it back. so I've got a bit of a window in the morning if I need to. Anyway, so I rang the customer on the way. I said, can I, just to double check the time I got to be there. He didn't answer. I rang 2 or 3 times. It went through to answer phone. So I left a message in the end, just saying it's on my way. I'm due to be there for 5 o'clock. Can you let me know if that's going to be okay? No, we'll have to wait. So I was assuming that 7 o'clock was the actual time I would be able to offload. But you never know. Often these things can be wrong, so I thought I'm not going to hang around and get there after done 7. Also, it's hard to judge London traffic, so my sat nav was saying I'll get there for 5. By the time I ended up getting there, it's 5:15, and by the time I'd got about half an hour away, I'd rung the customer, and he did confirm that it can only be delivered after 7 o'clock. So I did try and call the shipper to let them know both the time that I was going to pick up was going to be 2 o'clock and the time I was going to arrive was going to be 5 o'clock, but the phone wasn't picked up at either time. So that's my only issue with the shipper. I tried ringing a couple of times and didn't get any answer on the mobile phone that called me to give me the job. So it wasn't a perfect experience, but so far it's not been too bad in terms of dealing with the shipper. So I got myself to London, and I was trying to find somewhere to park. My usual tactic is to find a supermarket and then park a supermarket for sort of 1 or 2 hours if I'm waiting. And I saw what I would call a traffic warden. I think they're probably called traffic control officer or something now. And I spoke to him and I just said, oh, by the way, I've got to deliver at 7. Is there anywhere near here where I can park for free, like in a supermarket car park? And he was a foreign gentleman, which might have explained the slight confusion, but I think mainly the confusion was I was asking for somewhere to park for free in Chelsea. And I said, like somewhere, I said to him, like a supermarket or a B&Q, for example. And he almost mockingly said, "You're in Chelsea. There is nowhere free to park." He was with a slight Eastern European accent, but I think he was confused as to why would anyone think there'd be any parking in Chelsea. Now I know not to ask that question. I found some supermarkets, but they're all sort of local ones, and there's no parking. But he did tell me that what they do is, if you're loading or unloading, you can park on the single yellow line, and they'll give you up to 20 minutes to unload or load, providing you look like you're doing some unloading. So his advice was, drive around, park up on a single yellow line for up to 20 minutes, and then move on to somewhere else, which I thought was very reasonable of him, and which is kind of what I did. I ended up parking in residential parking bays for a bit, for about 5 minutes, then moving on to another area. I was parking some very nice spots, I must say. My vehicle did stand out with the other vehicles that I was parked next to. But in the end, I got a bit of something to eat from the supermarket nearby, and then I made my delivery to bang on 7, and then I had to wait for them to, I think it was some shop fitters who were taking some cladding down, so I had to wait for about 20 minutes while they did that, and then I got loaded up, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm now driving out of London on my way home, which is sort of, it's closer for me to go home than Mount Mowbray from London, and then Mount Mowbray is definitely within my home location. It's right on the edge of my home location for jobs in the morning, so I'm hoping to get a job from my home location heading somewhere, perhaps Birmingham or something, in the morning, and I can go from where I am to Mount Mowbray and drop off this load on the way to somewhere else. But if not, I'll just get to Mount Mowbray and look from there. Right, so that was my day. Just a very quick drink. So next thing to quickly talk about before I let you go. I've pretty much decided. I think I was replying to comments yesterday on my day off, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed replying to the comments, and I forgot how nice it is to have that kind of interaction with people. So having the comments to sort of deal with is a really big positive for having a YouTube channel, and also having, as I said many times before, having a chance to express myself. What I also thought about yesterday was the sort of style that I've developed. I quite like the practice that it gives me. I've sort of got into a bit of a habit of having a bit of a narration, a bit of a narrative arc in my day, where I kind of, it's a bit like storytelling. My day is a bit like a story that I'm telling. And when I was younger, I was fascinated by people that were good storytellers, and I thought that was a skill. I'd love to have that skill. I was thinking yesterday, well, actually, what you're doing with the YouTube channel is, on occasions when something particularly memorable happens, there is a kind of story arc to the day, the ups and downs of a day in the life. So I actually feel like, for me, I get quite a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from developing my ability to communicate in a kind of story-like way my working day. That's the second reason why I like doing these videos, which I hadn't realised before. As I said in a previous video, some things I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change my style. I'm not going to change trying to be my authentic self. I think the stats is something I should keep in there because it has I think it has value. So I'm probably not going to change very much about my videos. I've tried changing the order today. If you have a particular view as to whether you'd rather me just do the stats at the start, and that would save you some time, then I'm happy to think about doing that. It doesn't quite flow as well for me. I quite like the idea of explaining the day, and at the end of the day, summarising it with the stats. So I probably will just see how that goes. So finally then, just in terms of other things, I've got other I need to think about what do I actually need to earn every day, and what can I get away with earning. Can I earn a bit less? Can I actually spend a bit less now, therefore reduce what I need to earn with this? Can I sort of give myself a year or two to kind of get over my health issues, and then maybe in the future be in a position where I can sort of take on more work again? So in terms of doing this job, I'm not going to stop doing this job. I will just say this one thing. I was made to think about why am I carrying on by a commenter, which I thought was very valuable. And it's hard to explain in typed language, but I will try and explain a bit more at the end of this video here. I would say that I've done a lot of jobs in my time. If you haven't seen my first videos, then I was a teacher for about 7 years. I worked in the care industry for 10 years, including working in an office. I've dabbled in properties. I worked in a bank for 2 years, and none of those jobs gave me anywhere near the job satisfaction that this job does. So just for that reason, I'm not going to give up doing this job. It's such a great job for one's morale. It's difficult financially, we all know that, and I don't really have the desire to get my own customers or the ability to do that. So I am restricting my ability to earn money by not doing that. But so that was the first thing. I do know this is the right job for me, and if you've ever been in situations where you've been in bad jobs and then you find a job that you like, then that's why you don't give it up very easily. And the second thing I want to say in response to that is, one of the things, and this isn't meant to be a criticism, this is meant to be an observation, and I think it's not a criticism of anyone in particular, it's just what I've noticed, not just through YouTube, but just in life generally. People for some reason, seem to think that if there's a problem and they have a solution that works for them, that somehow would work for everyone else. And for some things that would be the case. Some things the solutions are universal. But for most issues, they're very individual. We all have our own experiences and talents and personality and experience and sort of what we try to get out of various jobs or hobbies. And just because something works for one person doesn't mean that's the right advice for anyone else. And I think people tend, to fall into that mindset of, I know it works for me, so I'll share that with other people. It's not just social media. It's just I think people, family and friends would do that as well. And I just feel I don't understand the logic of that. To me, that there's no logic behind that. It's just assuming something that's just illogical. What I think you should do is, if you know the person you're talking to very well, and you know their background and you know what their aims and ambitions are, then you can give some sort of advice tailored to them that would be helpful. But a stranger online, or even a stranger in the family, or just a friend at work, I think people should be really careful about offering advice, because you've got no idea what's going on in people's lives, what they're going through. So I think it's much more beneficial I would do it this way. Say what works for yourself. I did this and it worked for me. Don't try and say that works for you. Or if you want to sort of initiate some sort of active response from the person, ask them, what do you think would work for you? And then respond to that. Sort of ask, call and response, sort of ask and respond to their points. So rather than just out of the blue saying, I think you shouldn't do this or you should do that. Sometimes it's useful. I think if one uses some common sense, you can work out which strategy works or which doesn't. But I think far too many people jump in with the giving advice, which is neither wanted nor useful. But, and this is the thing that I've learned from YouTube, this is what I have to kind of be careful about, there's a difference between someone giving unwanted advice that's wrong but is heartfelt and genuine, and someone doing that who's just trying to wind you up or mislead you. And so even the bad advice can be done for the right reasons. So I wouldn't ever criticise anyone too badly if they're giving advice that's wrong for me but they mean well. But those people that give me advice who don't know me and don't have my best interests at heart, obviously they're just trolls. But that applies to people in real life, not just online, in my view. Right, I'll bring it to a close. So, thank you for listening to my video. I hope that you are successful this year, however you choose to define that. My definition has changed since I started this year, and we'll see how it goes. See you tomorrow. Farewell, friends.